There we go.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to share
Oh,
my screen.
yeah. I should have given you. Yeah, you still got it.
Yep, I got it. Okay, so all year long we've been using Eduphoria because of the platform, and it helps us to be able to test our students at home as well as our students in the classroom. So Eduphoria has many tools that are available to all of our students, and some that are available to just our students that have those designated supports that their committee deemed appropriate for them. Um, we're talking about this, we're bringing this up because in another few weeks, we're starting with our STAAR test. And this year, we're doing the move to go more online than what we've ever had in the past. So we want to make sure that our students are ready and that they are very familiar with the tools that they can use. So I'm going to go over the tools from Eduphoria because of many of these tools mirror image the same tools that are on the STAAR online platform. First thing I'm going to go over is this color theme. If you've never allowed your students to click on a color, please do so. Let them pick a color that they are familiar with. Kids are like, this is like a new toy. They see something different, they're going to click just like what I'm doing on each one of them to see what it looks like. Give them that opportunity. Let them see what it all looks like and tell them, I'll give you a minute, I'll give you 2 minutes, find a color that you want, and let's keep going. So once you do the color scheme, we have a zoom. The zoom will make things bigger for them and they can zoom it out. Let me trash this. So then we keep going up in the top. We have what we call add a note. If you are teaching your students strategies, then right here is where they can prove that they are using these strategies that you are teaching them. Once it saves, it says note saved on the teacher side. This is the teacher side. Between supports and status, if you click on that note, you can actually read the note the student put and on the question number he put. If you hover over it, it'll give you the question and then the notes the students put on there.
That was on last one too, wasn't it?
Let's see, number 7. Let me refresh my screens. I've had this open. It might have haven't refreshed yet. Yes, ma'am. There it is. 3 notes. There it is. I'm proving that I'm using a strategy. So if there's 10 questions and the students write a note for each question, it will appear here. Then we have a reference. You know those embedded reference charts that come in the STAAR test that the students typically they tear off and they have on the side. They're now embedded, and the students can see it there. Not only are they embedded on the STAAR online test, they actually still get a hard copy of them. A teach piece here would be our, let me lower my camera a little bit, the question guide. As the students are answering questions, if they see these opened circles, that means they have not answered them and they are not ready to submit. So we're practicing with these weekly tests or taking, whether it's RLA or math, these are all teach pieces. Train them up to where if they see all check marks, then they are ready to submit. I've noticed down here in the bottom is that same question guide, but it's just down here horizontally. We have this flag. If the students are, have question number 7 still questionable for them, they can flag it and it's going to flag it down here and they know to come back to this one. Another tool is that they can eliminate answer choices. The way they can eliminate, they can click on it again and it'll uneliminate these answer choices. They can also highlight. For example, number 7, why is this type of interaction important? If they want to highlight interaction important, they can select it and it'll highlight. If they want to highlight US society, it'll highlight it. If they move on to a next question and then come back, the highlighting still stays there. The only downfall I'm going to tell you that Eduphoria has is if a student decides that they only want to keep US society highlighted and not this first part, so they clear it, it's going to clear it for both things. That is a downfall, and I'm hoping Eduforia will fix that. So the student would have to select it again and re-highlight at this point in Eduforia. STAAR in a little bit that I'm going to go through it, it's going to be a little bit different. So if a student comes down here to review and submit, if you notice, we have some flags, we have some bells, and we have one check mark. So as you're teaching them and you're training our students, train them once they see check marks all the way across, then they are ready to submit. If they don't see check marks all the way across, then they're not ready. They can click on any one of these numbers. I'm going to click on number 4, and it's going to take me straight to that question. Then they can answer the questions that they're lacking at this point. Okay, making sure I went over everything. Up in the top, if you have a student who's testing and they get sick, or if they're taking like your weekly test and they get picked up, then you want them to exit the test. When they exit, it's going to save their progress, and the student gets to log in again using their same credentials, and it picks up right where they're left off. If they hit review and submit, it's going to submit that test for scoring already. So that's the difference right there. The one other thing that you can see on here is a calculator. For our grades for math, for 6th and 7th grade, in order for them to have a calculator, they have to meet that criteria. The calculator will be available for all 8th grade, for sure. Any questions?
What was the other symbol? You had a check mark, a flag, and a what?
A check mark, a flag, or a bell.
What'd the bell mean?
The bell means the student has not answered that question at all.
I wanted to make sure, so.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if Teresa already shared this with y'all, but I do have this. I did email it to her. There are all the tools that Eduforia has. These first set of tools, these are available to all of our students. Then the bottom ones, these 3, are tools that are available to our students based on their committee decisions. These are all in Eduforia. Then if we keep going for STAAR, I went ahead and created this, and this is taken straight from the STAAR, but I brought in the same tools that mirror each other. If you notice right here in the bottom on STAAR, theirs is review in, and on Eduforia is review submit. So in a little bit that I go to STAAR, this is going to make more sense. I'm going to walk you through. So this right here, this page and a half, these are the tools that mirror image each other on Eduforia and on the STAAR. If a student, taken straight from the STAAR manual, if a student asks how a tool or button functions, you can read the information in the text column, this right here. You can start doing this now with the test on Eduforia. If somebody tells you, if a student asks you, what does this do? Or what tool or what button, what does this button do? Find the button on here and you can read this to them. The same way you can read it from Eduforia, you can read it on the STAAR test. In the manual, it's actually like 2.5 pages of different tools. The tools here are only the ones that mirror each other from Eduforia to STAAR.
Celina, I have a question real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned exiting the test and being able to come back and resume the test for going to the nurse or leaving for the day, or an emergency. What about going to the restroom? They have to exit the test as well when they're going to leave the classroom to go to the restroom.
If they're going to be gone for if that's a routine, yes. For a real STAAR test, yes. You don't want another student to get that's close by to like start changing or clicking on answers. Yes.
So as far as the time, because I know the time doesn't stop when they go to the restroom, but it does, like if they go to the nurse or it's an emergency and stuff like that. Is that just the proctor, the person that's administering the test's responsibility to be timing?
Yes. What they'll do is, remember that student has that test ticket. So once the student raises a hand, the proctor has to walk to him. You can't from across the room say, yes, what do you need?
Right.
You walk to them, and once that they determine if it's a nurse, at that point they pick up the test ticket and they put stop time or sent to nurse at this time.
Okay.
So the proctor on their test sound sheets should have the time they started And then that's going to have their end time. And then on that same test sound sheet toward the bottom, they can make notes and put on there, student sent to nurse at this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So I know y'all are math, so I'm going to go to 2018. We have 2016, 2017, 2018, and there's some 2019 release tests. I will caution, do not use 2019 to practice with the students just yet, because your mocks are the 2019 tests that are coming up in April. After mock testing, you're free to go to whatever one you want there. I'm going to go to 7th grade math. Then down here in the bottom, we have no PMP, we have all PMP. PMP are personal needs preferences. If you have your general ed students that have no accommodations whatsoever, then you want to make sure they practice the no PMPs. Your students that have accommodations such as text to speech and or content language supports, then you want to make sure they practice the all PMP. If you're going to model this for your students, I would definitely model the no PMP to everybody, then pull into a small group your students that have those accommodations and show them the all PMP. So I'm going to come in here. So the STAAR. Up in the top are all the tools that are available to our students. If you notice the color, that STAAR, oops, that's Eduphoria. It is the same thing. So once students get comfortable with a color on Eduphoria, they're going to apply it, you're going to click on it, and they're going to keep going on this one. The zoom, they can zoom, they can move it, same thing. There's the zoom feature. Their rulers, they have their customary ruler of inches, they can manipulate it. So it's really important for math that you actually let them practice so they know they can click and they can move these rulers around. They are scale to size, are not going to, what's the word I'm looking for? They're scale to size, so the students are not going to have any issues with the measuring. They have the metric, which is at centimeters. They can move it around too. They can manipulate it as they need. They're also going to have their reference chart, that formula chart that has a ruler on the side. They're going to have a hard copy so they can still come to the screen and put it on there if that's what they're comfortable with. But they do have access to these online rulers. They have graph paper. They can put points. They can draw straight lines. All this is available to them. The pencil, here's where they can annotate. They can pick a color, they can underline, they can circle, they can change the color here. They decide that that's not what they wanted to do, they can erase. If they want to make notes on a specific answer choice, they have a sticky note. They can come down here and click on choice C, and they can type whatever notes they have, whatever notes they want to. If they want to write notes for the question itself, they have a notepad. The notepad is the same thing as your add a note. So whatever you teach them, whatever strategies you teach them to write here and to use this for, they're going to do it here. Whatever they did in Eduphoria here, they're going to apply for STAAR here. The only difference is you're going to be able to see the notes they write in Eduphoria, because that comes back to you. The notes they write on STAAR go to TEA. We don't see these notes at all. The eliminator, they can eliminate, they can click on it again and it'll uneliminate. If these questions are more than, a few sentences, these paragraphs, we have this guideline. The students can move it around. If they want to keep it there so they don't lose their place as they're reading, then that'll help guide them so they can read the full complete sentence. They can lock it in place, or they unlock it and they get to move it.
Do they have one of those that highlights the phrase?
Yes, ma'am. The way at Euphoria, we had to literally select what we wanted highlighted. STAAR does too. So I'm gonna put number of cookies. I'm gonna select it. I'm gonna highlight it. Number of cups. Select highlight. What is a concept? Select and highlight. Now, if I decide, maybe I need to highlight the X and the Y, then I can click here and I can erase my highlighting. Here, it allows me to erase one thing at a time instead of the whole thing the way Euphoria does. So that right there is a big difference. The teach piece for your students is as they are beginning to answer questions, it's starting to fill these dots here in the bottom. So you want to make sure that students see a dot all the way down. If they see dots all the way across, then they're ready to submit. Remember over here in Eduphoria, we had that review submit that your guide was check marks, they're ready. Over here on STAAR, they have that review end and it's dots all the way down. There's actually 3 things they can look at. They can look at dots. They can look at the word not answered. Look for not answered. That means they haven't answered it. Or your status right here can be 0 unanswered questions. And on here, let's say this one, 16 was not answered. If the students click on number 16, it'll take them right to this question where they can answer it. Also on here, the students can flag and it'll put that little flag right there. So when they come to this review end, it's going to show that number 16 was flagged. So it's going to still show them that. So it's training them. It's a teach piece to get our students to look at what they're doing and to make sure things are answered. Return to the test. So these are all the different tools that are available. Your formula charts right there, as well as your conversions. Here we go. You're going to keep in mind they're still going to have that hard copy. They can still have access to scratch paper. They're still going to have all that. Just because they're testing online doesn't mean they're no longer going to make it. They're no longer going to be able to make any notes. They're still going to be able to do all that. So I'm going to walk you through a test that has the content language supports, because I want you to see how that actually benefits our students.
The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy white dog.
So same tools, the difference right here in the top, the speak and the audio. The speak is the little man, the way I refer to him on aware over here is that little man. It's going to speak to them.
A recipe says to use 3 cups of flour to make 48 cookies.
See, it's speaking to them, and it might be a little too fast for some of our students who have trouble comprehending on the first time. So a student can actually come in here under the audio, and they can actually slow it down a little bit. And if it's too loud, they can lower the volume. So I'm going to play it again.
A recipe says to use 3 cups of flour to make 48 cookies.
So it actually slows it down for them. If a student goes through it and hears all this, but yet they still want to know what the question was, they can select the question and it'll read just
what
that
is the
one
constant
question.
of proportionality that relates the number of cookies made, Y, to the number of cups of flour used, X?
So if you notice in this question number 1, do you see where it says a recipe says to use 3 cups of flour to make 48 cookies? Do you see where it says how it's underlined? That underline right there, that is providing a content language support to our students. If they click on it, it's going to give them that visual reference. A recipe says to use 3 cups of flour to make 48 cookies. So it's showing them 3 cups of flour are going to make 48, each circle is a cookie. So it's showing them that reference. Again, we can, answer, go to the next one. An observatory is shaped like a cylinder standing on its basis. So I'm going to click on this and it's going to show it to them what it really looks like in person. So it's going to give them that clue, and it has with a dome on top. So now it's showing that picture, and that's what the dome is. Which measurement is closest to the circumference of the base? So I'm going to click on circumference, and it's going to provide that what the formula is for circumference for our students of the base. So it's going to tell them the base is your floor, the bottom part. So again, even though the test, one of them's all PMP, the other one's no PMP, all the different tools are still here, the same guide for all of our students. They're still going to look for the dots. They can still flag. They can still do everything that that can be done on any one of these tests. The only thing is with these, for example, these content language supports, it's just providing a little insight and words in phrases that they're familiar with, or it shows if they've never seen what an observatory was like, it showed them what it was. A classroom is arranged with 8 seats in the front row, 10 seats in the middle row, and 12 seats in the back row. So when you click on there, it's going to provide that visual. What the front row has, the middle row has, that back row has. So it's providing these additional supports that our students need. Any questions? See, let's see. Come on. There we go. So if you keep going through and just keep practicing with your students, you have 2016, you have 2017, you have 2018. I would try to focus in and practice with those 3 tests, maybe 2016, 1 week, 2017, another week, 2018, another week. Just have the students come in here and get comfortable with all these tools that are available to them. The more practice they get, the better off they're going to be, and they're going to know what to do. They're going to know what each one of them does. This is a time that they can actually ask you, and you can run them through what each one does. This manual has, for example, here's the tools I provided you with, but in the actual manual, and I'll make sure that I'll have Delma show all this to y'all. On page 78 or 75 here, Appendix B are all the tools that STAAR Online has that you can have at your disposal. If a student asks you how to do something, then you can refer to this and you can start showing them in class while you're teaching them the STAAR Online platform. Okay, let's see. So if you notice, as we go from question to question, just like Eduphoria, they have this add a note section in every question. STAAR does too. They have that notepad. They can make their notes as they need to. If you come in through these notepads, if you notice, let's see. Now it won't let me. The students can cut, paste, copy. They can do, they can undo, they can redo. I mean, things that students normally do where they like to type, they can still do here. They have their sticky note options and the notepad options. It's just whatever it is they are used to. That graph paper that they typically have in the back of the book, it's here. It's just a matter of letting them play with it so they can see how it works. And this is when we need your help. Get them practice, get them trained, have them have that experience between now and May, since the test is not until May for them. Any questions? This is it. This is the tools that they use on STAAR that mirror image the same tools that we currently have that we're using on a weekly basis in Eduphoria. Any comments? I will tell y'all that, let me log in as me over here to Eduphoria. There is a practice that you can use right now with your students on Eduphoria. It is called MS, Middle School Online Accessibility Features Practice. You can model this for your students. The way you're going to model it is you're going to log on, you're going to activate the test, start the test. then you're going to log on as one of your students. You can be on, they can be on. As long as you don't hit review and submit, you're going to be okay. If you notice on my screen, I am in as as a student. We, the district, we don't have a test account or a training account. So every time I show something that we model, I log in as a student. So that's the same way you would log in. Activate the test, find one of your students, and just model it for them. This one right here is this is an accessibility feature practice. There's only 7 questions, and it's just practicing using these tools. Have the students go in there, focus it on the color theme, the zoom, the highlighting. Once they get comfortable with that, they add a note, have them write notes there, have them start typing. That's the practice. Have them prove to you the different strategies you are teaching them. Those reference charts, just have them pick it up. Just have them click on there so you can see how it's going to be embedded. But also note that they are going to have the hard copy on the day of the real test. Any last comments? I mean, this is it. I want to make sure that if y'all have any questions, you can ask. I did share the link so that you can practice this STAAR online. In the past, this had always been where you had to go to the computer lab, you log into the computers as TestNav 11, TestNav, but with COVID last year, us not knowing that TA was going to cancel STAAR testing, they created this browser-based practice so that while our students were at home, they can still practice in the event we were going to take tests last year, which didn't happen, but TA has left this. So for your students at home, put this in as a Canvas practice, and you can practice this several times. We don't get any data from it. It's the practice that we want the students, it's that hands-on with the tools that we want them to practice with. But that's it. That's about it.
What is that website?
It's gonna be. I actually sent it to Teresa, but it's a tx-test.org/INBROWSER/.
Can we have the kids go on their Chromebooks and do this during class?
Yes, ma'am, you can. And actually, we want y'all to. We want y'all to show them this, expose them to this practice as many times as you possibly can. We realize that, you're still getting them ready for those mock testing, but given that mock tests are going to be in Aware and, in Eduphoria, we want them to get that hands-on. We want them to get used to those tools and what they do and how they can help them. Any other questions?
I don't have it. We're gonna have this on a video to look at again later.
I believe Teresa's recording this right now, so I'm sure she's going to share it with y'all. In the practice right here in the bottom are these tutorials. I realize this is probably completely new to you. These tutorials will walk you through each tool. You pick your grade level.
That's at that website you just gave us?
Yes, ma'am. At the very bottom, it's called tutorials.
Okay.
And if you keep going, this tutorial shows how a STAAR test shows how to take a STAAR test on the computer. And it tells you about the status bar, where those dots are. Then it takes you through about where that flag means, that mark for review. You're gonna have little short videos. So it tells you here, what should you click on to remind you to go back to a question later? So the different choices, you would click on there and it selects it. That dot comes in the bottom. And it's, test questions are shown one at a time. So down here, to select an answer to a multiple choice question, click on the circle next to the answer choice. Select an answer to the question below. What is your eye color? So the kids would click on there and then keep going. And then this is going to be a short video on some gridables. So it's going to walk the students on how to answer these gridable questions. And of course, as you're playing it, it's showing the students like where to start putting the numbers.
How long does the tutorial take?
Depends on how fast you go through it, because there is something for every one of these. It doesn't take, for the first time, it might be at least 35, 40 minutes.
That's if we started class on time, but okay.
What I would do, I would probably watch this like, during your planning time or at home and get the feel of it, because it may be that you can actually just go into the practice and show them the way I just showed you. Unless you want them to go through these things, then it'll show the highlight, the erase, how to do different things. Or you can assign this as for the students. Tell them to go to this website and click on tutorials.
Can it go into Canvas like an assignment?
This can go into Canvas, yeah. It's web-based. You can have them put an assignment, list all the different tools that are available, or list 5 of the tools that are available.
We could put that in the thing for Canvas for like a complete or incomplete.
Like right here, calculator. You can now have them prove. What are the 3 types of calculators that are showing on the STAAR Online page? They have a basic, they have a scientific, and they have a graphing.
Celina, they gotta go.
Okay. All righty, ma'am. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Celina. Hold on. All right, guys. Y'all signed the sign-in sheet, right? All righty.
Okay, so
I already sent y'all the links, so you
Right.
should be good to go.
why is no excited? I'm his testing partner. What's that mean?
We are putting two teachers in a classroom for STAAR testing because it's just easier for like restroom breaks, things of that sort.
Okay.
So hold on, let me stop the
wow.
recording. And so he's in with you.
So when are they gonna send us who we're gonna be with or what?
Well, Courtney knows mine, so.